Right, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand, the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to build industry leading brands. Today, I am your host, Junior Frederick, and of course, I'm joined by Mr. Bobby Stelf, and we have a phenomenal show for you today. Bobby, what's up? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. This morning was interesting. I didn't have my early
Okay.
morning workout like I like to. So I got to do it in
No.
the afternoon and evening tonight instead of morning afternoon, which is my normal routine. So I'm feeling interesting, but it's real good. Like it's like, okay, great. But I did have some things to do. Wife had to go out and take the older kids. I was with the baby, so it just was a different day this morning. So I'm interested. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to impact my day because you got to win the morning. We won the morning just in a different way than normal.
That's right, bro. And you know where I'm from, we say every day can't be the same. Every day cannot be the same. So, not every day is Christmas, not every day is the same. So we have to be able to move and to change and to shift as things go along. So kudos to you, man, because I've definitely been in a very similar position. So I can definitely attest to that.
Yeah.
All right. So guys, listen, I hope you're doing absolutely amazing. Today's Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So today is Wednesday. If Dr. Michelle were in the comments, she would say something like wonderful Wednesday, something like that. So shout out to everybody that's viewing live. Let us know where you're listening in from. I see Miss Luana Bradford. So Luana says, good morning to all. Happy Wednesday, tuning in from Arizona. We have, of course, Bradley. So Bradley says, phenomenal morning to all. We have another person here. Can you please put your name in the comments so I could give you a shout out? But good morning to you and hello from DC. And Tia says, great Wednesday, everyone. Have a blessed week ahead. And Tia is tagging everybody as usual. So love the energy, guys. Go ahead and put it in the chat. What is the energy in the room? If you're feeling amazing, go ahead and let us know. And before we kick off, man, I want to put this banner here. So the brand challenge is starting next week, Monday. So that is Monday the 8th. Okay, so Monday the 8th is going to be a very, very interesting day. Okay, but if you're interested in building your brand, I want you to go ahead and go to www.ultimatebrandchallenge.com and register. Don't forget to invite your friends. And also, if you have any family related activity on that day, this is absolutely family friendly. So go ahead and invite the kids, invite your spouse, invite your cousins, invite everybody you know. Now, Bobby, we're going to go to a quick break. But before we do, man, is there anything that you want to say to the people?
No, I just want them to know how you're doing. We opened up with how I'm doing, so I definitely want to ask you, how are you doing, Junior? This
I,
phenomenal
I
Wednesday.
feel I feel good. I feel good. I feel good as long as I'm above ground. I'm very thankful. I'm very blessed to be alive. So I'm very thankful and I feel good. I'm doing amazing, so can't complain. And by the way, I do want to send a quick shout out to Sean, who is on the road. Sean couldn't be here with us today, but he definitely sends his love and his well wishes to everybody looking at the show right now. So shout out to Sean, wherever he is around the world. But I guarantee you, he will be back when he can to tell you the stories of his explorations and of all of the phenomenal things he's been working on. So, guys, keep putting those shout outs in the chat. I see Mattis. So, Mattis says, phenomenal morning, gentlemen. Watching from Oklahoma. And I suspect this is the same person, so their name might be Precious. Okay. And Dr. Michelle is in. So she says, LOL, wonderful, winning Wednesday. There you go. I could never do it like I could never do it like Dr. Michelle. I could never do it like her. Guys, we're gonna go to a quick break, and when we come back, I think we have to do a part two of what we started talking about yesterday, right?
Right, right.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is Breakfast with the Brand.
When I think of brand you, I think of being your best self, your most authentic. The reason why we were able to crush business, absolutely dominate in business without having the marketing list, without having the email huge list, without having the Facebook ads and the advertising budget, without knowing the algorithm. The reason we were able to do this is because I branded myself. I told my authentic story and I was comfortable in my skin. Why? because it was that time in the world where everything was shifting. It was 2020, March. So you remember what happened during that time. It was like the world was coming to an end. So you didn't have anything to hold back. So I chose to give everything that I had and be everything that I am. And because I was that, because I branded me, because I was authentic, everything shifted. And people wanted more. And they wanted to know more about me and how they could become more comfortable in their skin. Listen, guys, when you brand you and not what you do, you're gonna add a zero to the world, but you'll also add a zero to your revenue. Let's grow. So when you're young, mommy tells you to play nice. Play nice, Timmy. Let all of the other kids play too. But in business, it's not about playing nice. In business, it's about winning. It's about adding multiple zeros to your revenue. Now, of course, your staff wins. And when you win, other people win. However, when it comes to competition, you absolutely must dominate. You can't play for participation, and you can't play just to get along or just to get by, because business is serious. Business will help you to change the world, or the world will change you. Your people will either win or your people will lose based on your level of leadership, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to sacrifice, and how much you know about dominating.
All right, guys. So we are back. This is Breakfast with the Brand, and I believe Bobby has some questions for me. Bobby, we started talking about closing and sales, if I'm not mistaken. So I know you sort of want to get back into that.
100%. 100%. And I actually wrote the questions down this time a little more detailed after going back through and seeing what excited the people yesterday. So I've got some targeted questions for you today that are going to be in alignment with a few things. So I'd like to open it up, guys, with objections. Objections.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask Junior how he would handle three different objections. I'm going to let him lay these things out, and then we're just going to have a lot of fun this morning. So the first objection for you, Junior, is you're on the phone with the prospect, you're talking, having a discussion, and the individual says, I need to speak to my partner, spouse, business partner, something like that. Like, you've given them the presentation. They loved it. They're not ready to make a decision because they need to talk to somebody else. How do you handle that objection?
Well, there's a couple ways you can handle that objection. So number one, and this is like the golden rule of objections. You always want to stay in agreement with the prospect. So you always want to be in agreement with them. So you want to empathize with them. So if somebody says, well, I need to speak with my spouse, I would say, listen, I completely understand. If I were making this kind of decision, I would want to speak with my spouse as well. However, if your spouse were here and you two were having this discussion right now, I'm assuming that you know your spouse very well, correct? Yes. So if the two of you were in the room talking right now and you had to tell your spouse everything that I just told you, what would be the ultimate thing that would lead your spouse to say yes? What would they be looking for them to say yes into you making this decision? And then they might say, and I guess it's based on what you're selling. If you're, let's say you're selling, let's say you're a moving company, and the man says, I need to speak with my wife. Like, ladies, put it in the chat. If somebody's coming to your house and they're moving stuff, what are you concerned about? You concerned about people breaking stuff? You're concerned about people getting stuff on your floor? You're concerned about them messing up the place? Like, these are some of the questions that a wife may have. So then all you do is once you find out what objections that their spouse may have, then you tie that into just reassuring the prospect that that's not going to happen. So for example, spouse might say, if you're buying a coaching program, they might say, well, number one, so you've bought, and if it's a husband, she might say, well, you've bought five other programs in the past and you didn't do anything with them. So what is it about this program that makes it any different? How do I know you're not going to spend our money on another program and it's just going to sit on the shelf? I will not get any results and we'll just be out of more money. So once you identify those objections, once they come up, that's when you could sort of handle them. Now, in the example that I just gave you, and by the way, you have to be truthful in everything you say. But I would say that our program is designed to give you additional assistance so that you're not, on your own trying to figure this stuff out, trying to figure out sales or branding, all of that on your own. And if the primary reason why you failed with other programs in the past was because after you bought something, people just disappeared and you were left to your own device, then I can guarantee you that this program is not the same. This is actually not the way our program is structured. Now, my question to you is, would you be upset with me if I saved you the extra, if I save you and your spouse the extra 2 hours of going over this stuff back and forth, only to come to the conclusion that our product is not the same? Is that okay with you? And then if you've done your job right, they will most likely say yes. Okay, so typically in situations like this, the spouse wants the other spouse to be able to make a decision. They just want to make sure that they make the right decision. So your job needs to be, what are some of those things that would go into them making the right decision, and just sort of reassure them that, hey, you are making the right decision. Can I save you and your spouse the extra 5, 6 hours of talking all of this through, and we could just go ahead and get started right now? And then I may say something like, would you agree that anything that can be done today should not be kept for tomorrow? Yes or no? And then, sometimes they say yes, and I say, well, great, let's get you started. Visa card, MasterCard, or American Express.
Right. Masterful. Absolutely masterful. And what I love about handling that particular objection is the interesting tie downs. And we talked about tie downs yesterday that are used to make the prospect do what they know they should do. Because closing is not necessarily you forcing anyone to do anything, it's you helping them do what they want to do. So when you say things like, would you agree that things that can be done today should not be put off to tomorrow? Phenomenal tie down, because you're pretty much saying to the prospect, are you a procrastinator or are you someone that seizes the day? Now, you obviously wouldn't say it that way. You'd say it the way we first said it, but in that tie down, what you do is you give them an opportunity to do what's in their best interest and give them the ability to feel good about it. And I think that that's something that many closers want to add to their repertoire, is a series of phrases that you can use to move the sale along while also keeping the prospect confident in their decision-making process. So my next objection for Junior is, how do you handle the "I need to think about it" objection? I need to think about it.
Oh man, this is a really good one. This is a really good one. So if somebody says, I need to think about it, there are a couple ways you can handle this. I might go through like two of them, right? So if somebody says, I need to think about it, then I would say, of course, you need to think about it. I haven't given you enough information for you not to think about it. Now, from my experience, when people say they need to think about it, what they're actually saying is they need to make sure that they're getting the right deal. Would you agree? Yes. And typically, the right deal means that you're getting the right product from the right company on the right terms at the right price. Now, you know as well as I do that if one thing works for somebody else or works for a variety of people from different niches, which means it's not industry specific, that it can work for you as well. Right. So it's not a question of if the product is right, it's a question of if the person is right. So it's a question of, are you ready to do the work, to put in the work necessary to make it work? Now, if you are, we can help you. If you aren't, then we can't. So it's not a question of right product. It's not a question of right company. And by the way, we have a team of researchers that constantly scans the market to ensure that you're getting the best price. So it's right company, right deal, right price, right time. And if you're the right person, then you absolutely don't need to think about it. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and get it started.
Wow. I
So
like that. Are you going
that,
to give me another one? Yes.
um, let me see. Yeah, there are many ways to handle that. That's one way you could handle that.
hmm I like that one because,
Another way you could do that is just I guess using a hypothetical scenario to move the objection forward. So for example, somebody says I need to think about it. I say no problem, I completely understand. At the time you get to sit down and think about it, what would be the top three things that would make this a no-brainer for you? What would you need to see or come to the conclusion of for you to say yes? And then they might say, well, I need to make sure that it's the right time, I can afford it. And they might say something like, I need to make sure I'm getting the right support, and this is not like a ordinary coaching program. So then I would say, well, so are you saying that if you had the right support, it was within your budget, and it's not like an ordinary coaching program, then you would say yes. Is that correct? Yes. So I can guarantee you that you have the right support, and I just tell them this is how you get the support. Okay, this is why or how it's different from other coaching programs, and this is how you can get the results. So then once they see that, once you could correctly show that, then you could move the deal forward and say, well, you have what you need to think about it. Let's go ahead and move forward.
Mhm.
So you move the objection forward and you bring it to fruition. In other words, you take the future time, the time that they're going to think about it, you make that time right now.
Yes.
Another way, Bobby, here's another way. And by the way, this ties into what I was talking about when I was talking about, sales is really about getting to the truth.
Hmm.
So another way I might handle it is I might say, our research shows that 90% of people who get on these kinds of calls have already been thinking about a solution. So chances are, if you're talking with me today, you've already been thinking about it for the last 2 to 3 months. So do you need to think about it? No, you've already been thinking about it. What you're actually saying is, I need to make sure that I'm getting the right deal. Okay, would you agree? Yes, because people don't, get on these calls without thinking about it. Obviously, you're thinking about the challenges, you're thinking about the solution, you're thinking about what you need. So you've already thought about it. No, you don't need to think about it. You need to make sure that you're getting the right product at the right price, and it works within your budget and it's at the right time. So once you could identify that, and once you get the prospect to agree with that, you just need to go ahead and show them why your product is the best, why your deal is the best, why they're actually getting the best terms, you have the best price, and this is actually the right time to move forward.
Mm. Nice. Very nice. So as I think about prospects that are saying they have to think about it, and you guys that are watching this right now, go ahead and pick one of those three that Junior just gave you and start working it. Start working it, because it was Bruce Lee who said, I don't fear the man that throws, that knows 10,000 kicks, but I fear the man that has practiced one kick 10,000 times. And pretty much what that means is you don't need to know every objection handling skill out there, right? You just need to know one, so to speak, and be really, really good at it. And it'll evolve over time. Now, granted, as you evolve as a closer, it's nice to add more and more to your belt. But I definitely agree with Zig Ziglar, who said, you're not going to learn every single possible closing sales tactic out there. It's just not going to happen. But if you know the ones that work for you, that align with you, and you get really, really good at handling objections with your tool belt, you will find that you can handle just about any objection with a handful of strategies and tactics. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because Junior gave you three different ways you can approach it. I would recommend taking one and just practicing it over and over and over.
Yes,
Um,
sir. Dr. Michelle has a question.
okay.
So I think Precious has a question. So she says, what type of area are you in? I'm not sure if she's talking about geographic area, but if it's geographic area, I'm in the Caribbean right now. So I'm in the lovely island of St. Lucia. If you don't know where that is, if you know who Rihanna is, our country is right to the side of where Rihanna is from. That's how I explain that. And also, Dr. Michelle says, "What if you are new?" Let me bring this up. She says, "What if you are new and don't have results yet?"
So one of
Great.
my
That's a really
questions,
good one.
yeah.
That's a really good one. Okay, so what if you are new? Now, guys, like I said, it goes back to the truth. If you're new in an industry, now I want to ask Dr. Michelle, put it in the chat. If you're new in an industry, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard will you work to ensure that your first client gets phenomenal results? Put it in the chat on a scale of 1 to 10. If you're completely new in an industry, you're going up against different competition, maybe certain people are like the Goliath in your industry, and you're new, like put it in the chat on a scale of 1 to 10. How hard would you work, or how dedicated would you be, to your client to ensure that you get them results. Right. So that's normally a 10 for most people. It's your first client. You want to ensure that you serve them to a high degree so that you can get more. Okay. So obviously, like people start putting tens. Yeah. So 10, 10, 10. So if somebody says, well, what results do you have? Or you don't have any results, I would say, yes, I completely agree. I don't have any results as yet. But would you also agree that all big companies started as small companies? Yes or no? Yes, all big companies, like Lawana would say, started as small companies. So, that being said, I am new to this industry. I have the experience, I have the expertise, I just don't have the clients. But if you were in my position and you got a new client and you were going up against different Goliaths in your industry, how hard would you work to ensure that your first new client got the results that they want or got the results that they need? Scale of 1 to 10. And then the prospect would say it would be a 10. And then you would say phenomenal. So that is exactly how hard I'm going to work for you to ensure that you get the results. Can you go with another company? Yes. Does that company have more clients? Yes. The company has more clients, but there's also a high likelihood that because they have more clients, they're less likely to give you the care and attention that you deserve. So my question to you is, would you prefer to go with a bigger company where there's a huge risk of them ill treating you or looking at you like another number on the screen? Or would you want to go with a young budding entrepreneur who's looking to sprout their roots in a new industry and is dedicated to serving every single client that they get right now to the highest possible degree? That's what I would ask them. And I confidently believe that they would say the second.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's a phenomenal, phenomenal closing approach, you know. And you guys will continue to hear me call these tie downs because if you are serious about this, there is a language to closing and there's a language to sales. And you want to know at what stage of the process you're in. So you've got the opening, and then you've got the presentation, and then you've got the handling of the objections, and then you've got the tie down, then you've got the close. So there's even elements of this. So that would be a part of your tie down when you're actually saying the things that don't give the prospect an option out. So the way Zig Ziglar puts it is the last thing you want is to get off the call without an answer. It's better to get a yes or a no. But if you get off the call and they're like, oh, I need to think about it. Oh, I need to talk to someone. Oh, you didn't get a yes or a no. And that's like one of the worst places to be as a sales professional, because if you get a no, at least you know it's not yet. If you get a yes, then you know what to do with that. If you get nothing, well, now you're spinning your wheels. So the tie down is really designed to get an answer that brings you and the prospect to a resolve. And then based on that resolve, you either close the deal, collect the cash, or set up another time to provide more information so that they can make the decision that they're looking to make. So that's a phenomenal way, if you're new to business, to do that, is to really tie them down and get a yes or no answer. So my next question for Junior is one more objection. Let me see how we're doing on time. Oh my goodness, it's already 8:30. Junior, you're gonna have to answer these questions faster. No, okay. I got 2 minutes. So I'm just going to skip this last objection that I had. No, I'm not. You're just going to have to answer the questions faster, Junior. So the next one is going to be the last
Okay.
objection was, do I have to make a decision today? How do you handle that objection? You talk to them, they're excited, they want to do it, but now they're like, do I have to make a decision today? How do you handle it?
Well, same thing I said the other time. Like so I would just say something like, well, it depends. Like, are you an action taker or are you a money maker? Are you an action taker or are you a money maker? Are you an excuse maker or are you a money maker? You know what I mean? So, excuse makers don't make money. Action takers make money. Would you agree that anything that can be done today shouldn't be kept for tomorrow? We don't know what tomorrow will bring. If you can do it today, why not do it today? But that's one way you could do it. But what I would another way you could do it is and by the way, this is a good question because this touches a little bit on the product side. You have to learn how to build in scarcity and urgency into your product, like normal and natural scarcity and urgency into your product. Now but that's for another conversation. Just wanted to leave that there. However, The way I would possibly handle that if somebody said that, what was it again, Bobby? Like, do I have to make a decision today?
Yes, yes, they're just not, looking to make the investment today, but they could.
They could. Okay, so if you have somebody asking you that or telling you that, the truth is, if you leave this call and you choose not to work with us, then you've already made a decision. So regardless of what you think, you are making a decision today. The only question is, how important is this decision for you? And research has shown that 80% of people who get off sales calls and don't make a decision actually never do. Now, you would agree with me, Bobby, that life happens. So life is life in, meaning that you get off the call, something happens to your kid, something happens to a family member, you get busy, you forget, it slips your mind, right? Would you agree, right? Yes, so stuff happens. So all you're doing is you're delaying the decision. The only question is not whether or not you can make a decision. The question is, how important is the decision to you? Because if you leave the call and you don't make a decision, meaning that you don't do anything, then you essentially you've already made a decision. The only question is, are you going to make the right decision? And the right decision is always the decision that's going to move you forward towards your goals.
Masterful. Junior, take us to a break. Take us to a break.
All right, guys, so we're going to go to a quick break. If you haven't registered for the Ultimate Brand Challenge yet, then go to the link down below, www.ultimatebrandchallenge.com. This is 100% free, 5-day challenge that's going to teach you how to build the infrastructure for your influencer brand. We'll be right back after this break. Let's go.
From Harriet Tubman to Sojourner Truth to Rosa Parks, we have always been on a freedom run. Your LLC, your S Corp, C Corp, your business entity is what's going to give you the ability to go from your job, your industry wages, your 9 to 5 to the life of your dreams and the dream of your life. This is about you attaining all of the things that you could only possibly imagine and that our ancestors saw as not even being possible. Your freedom run? This is your freedom run. This is your moment. We're going to show you how to establish yourself as a business entity so you can go and come as you choose. There was a time when we needed permission slips to go from plantation to plantation. When you get a little bit older, you need permission slips to go from class to class. And when you get a little bit older, you get a vacation for 2 weeks, and then you have to come back after 2 weeks to your job, right? That's what they call it now, the 9 to 5, the gig. You might you work for 50 weeks and you get 2 off. The freedom run is when you establish your LLC and you're free for the rest of your life. Confidence is key. Most of the people I work with, they have the education, the experience, and the expertise. We call those the 3 E's. But they're looking for the 3 I's, the income, the impact, and the independence. And I always tell them that the bridge between the 3 E's and the 3 I's is marrying your confidence to your competence. Most of the people I work with, again, have all of the competence in the world. What I help them do is get the confidence.
All right. Coming in hot, Junior. Coming in hot. So the next section that we're going to be talking about is assuming the close. Just got one question for this section. So to preface it, you want to assume the close is very common, meaning that you want to go into the conversation already seeing the deal done. You want to be very optimistic about the outcome, and you want to have confidence that you're going to be able to get the job done. So my question for Junior is, what do you do to detach from the sale, but remain optimistic about closing the deal? Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to come in there attached to the sale and overly optimistic to the point that we seem thirsty, but we do want to be optimistic about closing the deal while being detached from the sale. So do you have any strategies about how you get this job done?
That's a phenomenal question, Bobby. Because I don't often consciously detach. I'm just detached. Because my perspective is, if somebody comes to you with a problem, so I do what's called consultative closing. That's what I do. So I consult you. Same way you would go to a doctor and you say, I have a backache. What do I do? That's what I do. Like, I don't tell people to do anything. I consult you and then I let you make a decision based on what's better for you. Of course, I help you make the decision. But my perspective has always been, you know, you're the one with the problem. I'm the one with the solution. So why should I be the one worried? You should be the one worried, not me. Like, you're the one coming in, or the prospect is the one coming into the problem. You're the one that is providing the solution. Like, the equivalent of that is like, if you have a toothache and you go to the dentist, and then the person with the toothache is saying, let's say the dentist prescribes something, and they're saying, oh, no, 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 I can't, I'm not going to do that. Let me do it tomorrow. Let me talk to my wife about, like, bro, you have a toothache. You're the one. When at the end of the day, when the dentist leaves the office, he's doing great. Like, I told somebody the other day, like, I was talking to somebody and they told me that, oh, is this the part where you sell me something? I say, me. I say, miss, I'm here with you today to help you. I could be on the beach right now, having a drink or something. I came in the office so I could talk to you and help you. So, no, I'm not here to sell you something. I'm here to give you reasons, why you should buy and guide you, but ultimately it's gonna be your choice. And I was serious. I say, like, I came to the office to help you out. I could have been somewhere in the hot springs. We on our country we have what's called a sulfur springs, which is like a volcanic. Number one, we have the world's only drive-in volcano. Yes, so you could actually drive into a volcano and go to like the springs and stuff like that. So I thought I could have been at the springs, trying to help you. Are
Yeah.
you telling me about sales and all that stuff? I say I'm here to help you. I'm not here for me.
Hmm.
But it's so funny. Like, that's my perspective. So I'm never like attached. Like, if they don't do it, no problem. I tell people all the time, you can have your money or you could have a problem. So you
Hmm.
decide. If you keep the money, you also keep the problem. And that's it. So I don't consciously think about it. But if I had to have a strategy, like, my strategy is just to go in as an expert. Just think of yourself as an expert. And that's it. Like, you have to care about helping people, but at the same time, you have to be detached and know that you could only like go so far. Like, you're not gonna close everybody. That's number one. Some people will be ready, some people will not, and that's okay. So we go in trying to save people that are swimming towards us.
Hmm.
We don't
Right.
try you know, to change somebody's mind. Like, you have to actually want to change, want the decision, want the solution, and then I can help you out. But if you don't want it, and there are a category of prospects, I think Jordan Belfort calls them like looky loos. Like, they're just window shopping and they're just looking. Oh, I'm just looking. I'm just here to get more information. I'm just looking. So if you're here to get more information and you're hopping on every single call every single day trying to get more information, eventually you'll have more information and you'll have no solution. So, so some
Right.
people like that, I mean, you have to be able to recognize them, and it's okay. I don't take it too seriously, but I think at the end of the day, my strategy is just to remember I'm the expert and just don't take it that seriously. I don't. They say. People say you shouldn't take yourself too seriously. You should be able to laugh at yourself and joke and stuff. I view it the same way, man. Like, I'm here to help you make a decision. At the end of the day, the decision is yours, and whatever you choose to do, I promise you, on the weekend I'll be at the beach. So it's up to you.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love it. It's it takes the pressure off of the closer and really places the pressure on the prospect. And I think that's where it belongs. I think that the pressure belongs on the prospect because they're the ones that have the problem. And I think the pressure is what's required to move them along. And it doesn't have to be negative pressure. We talked about this yesterday, positive pressure, to get you moving along. So I think detaching from the cell in the way that you do, Junior, is strategically and ethically sound because you're not pushing something that somebody doesn't need. You don't find yourself as the sleazy salesman. So my
And
next,
by the way, Bobby, by the way, not to cut you, but by the way, I've closed more deals when I've had like that sort of energy. Like,
Mhm.
it's whatever, it's cool. Whatever we decide to do. Because check this out. part of closing is also recognizing when your solution is not the solution somebody needs. That is still a close. Closing is not about selling something. Closing is about helping people to make the right decision for themselves. Sometimes the decision is not working with you. Maybe you may not be the right fit, and that is a close as well. People don't think of that. Maybe the decision is for the prospect not to do it right now. Because if they do it right now, it'll put them in a bad situation financially. So you have to consider all of these things as well. There have been times where I've told people, hey, I cannot sell this to you because, hey, if you don't make the money back, like you'll be out on the street. There are people that they put everything on the line. And, it's not ethical to sell somebody that is in a position where it is so bad that they can't pay their rent. Like to me, I wouldn't do that. So in
Mhm.
some scenarios, you have to tell the prospect no, or you have to recommend something that is smaller, like a book or something like that, so that they can get started. But you don't take, somebody's money if it's going to put them in a very, very bad financial bind. To me, that's not ethical. So I probably wouldn't even do that. So, but that is still a close too, because you're coming to a resolution. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And we won't touch on this, but it's definitely something to think about for new entrepreneurs, because if in the world of sales, most people get paid on commission. You may even hear it heard as eat what you catch. If you can go out there and catch someone and help them and actually get them to do business with us, then you'll get a commission. And some people can get
Yeah.
commission goggles or something like that. They start seeing the commission, and then they do things that aren't highly ethical. And also, I feel like entrepreneurs are the same way, especially the ones that are getting started, because your every close is keeping the business alive. So if you don't close, then the business closes. So I think that, again, we don't have time to touch on that, but I think what Junior was saying about ethics and about knowing when to close them, or not necessarily when to close them, but how you should close them, which is on making the best decision, is one of the best things you can do as a closer. But again, don't have the time to go into that. But my next question is, assume voice inflections. So, how do you leverage your inflections during your sales calls, and what are the effects of tonality and rate of speech when closing?
This is a good question. So there's a difference between closing and selling. Now I'll talk about both just to strike a contrast. So in selling, you typically, like, let's say your appointment setting, you want to use upward inflections when appointment setting. It's a very interesting effect that upward inflections have when you're on a call. So I'll give you a little example. By the way, there are like three types of inflection. So there's upward inflection, there is the forward or like the flat, and then there's the downward facing inflection. So downward facing inflection is, I want everybody to go back in memory. Remember, like back in when we were in school and you did something and you were in trouble, and the teacher was like, Mr. Jackson, and you just knew, okay, I did something, I'm in trouble. That's a downward inflection. If you get on a call, on a setting call, and you have a downward inflection, somebody's gonna think it's like the police calling them. gonna, they're gonna hang up. Okay, they're thinking, hold on, is it like did I do something? Did I where was I yesterday? Did I do something I didn't remember? So they're gonna click and hang up. But if you come with a forward inflection, it's like, Mr. Jackson, like this is interesting. So you're a little bit curious, and then if you come with an upward inflection, hey, is this Mr. Jackson? The upward inflection is a little bit different, and the upward inflection sparks curiosity. With the upward inflection, people's normal thought process is, hold on, do I know this person?
Yeah.
This sounds like somebody that I knew, but I forgot. And then that's where rate of speech comes into play. So when you use upward inflection with a good enough rate of speech, then it sort of prevents them from hanging up on you. That's how you don't get hung up on,
Right.
because it's like, hold on, do I know this person? But by the time the prospect is thinking that, you've already moved on with your script. You're like, boom, 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 boom. So they're like, okay, he sounds like a good guy. I'm not sure if I know him. Let me listen to what he has to say. And then if you have the right script, you'll be like halfway into the script before they even think about hanging up on you.
Yeah, yeah,
Halfway there.
right, right.
closing, in closing though, closing is different. Closing is one stage in the sales process. In closing, you don't want to use any like upward inflections unless you're trying to get to the bottom of something. Now, I love Chris Voss. Chris Voss has a book called Never Split the Difference. And for those of you who don't know, Chris Voss used to be the lead negotiator for the FBI. He used to negotiate like different um, situations abroad, everywhere. And he has this course where he teaches people how to use the power of inflections and how to use your voice and how to use mirroring and stuff like that. And sometimes when you combine those things in a closing call, you could use it to get to the bottom of something. So let's say somebody says, I need to think about it. After they've gone through the entire sales process, you might say something like, you might mirror them, and then you might say, with an upward inflection, you might say, need to think about it. And when you say that in that way, what tends to happen is people tend to try to explain themselves. So, so then they will try to say, okay, what do I mean where I say I need to think about it? So then I say, oh yeah, yeah, I just need to talk to the wife, and she has a couple things that couple concerns that she has, and then you'll say couple concerns that she has,
Yeah,
and then they'll so you use certain tonality to get to the bottom of things, and then when you're closing, very interesting. Closing is very similar to a mentorship situation where you're mentoring somebody. So in the moment where people need to borrow confidence, you can use a different tonality, maybe like a more forward inflection tonality to give them that confidence.
yeah,
Be like, Bobby, you're making the right decision.
yeah,
And I mean, it's very, you have to be very conscious when you're doing this. Of course, do everything I say with the utmost, you know, like you have to be ethical in everything. Like we only use our stuff for good. Don't use it to manipulate people. But you have to be very conscious when you're doing it and to know when to use what to
hmm,
get the result that you want. But
right.
yes, you can use tonality, yes, when closing.
Man, I'm gonna do my best to get through many of the questions. Like I wrote over like 10 questions and we've only gotten through like three. So no part threes though. I don't think we're gonna do a part three. However, I'm gonna ask Julia some more questions, but I
Sure.
will touch on this inflection piece very briefly. Um, no, I'm not. For the sake of time, I'm not. I'll just probably put it in the chat or something. Qualifying. Second question we're going to talk about is qualifying. So, my question for Junior is, what is a good qualifying method for sifting through cold leads while giving each person a chance to qualify, but not wasting time on those who won't qualify, just aren't a good fit?
Can you say that again one more time?
Yes, and I'll rephrase it. This is a bit of a long question. So, what is a good qualifying method? So a lot of people that are closing deals have to set those deals first, or they're even on a closing call and they are don't know if the prospect's a real buyer. So my question is, how can you identify the buyers from the liars, so to speak, quickly, while also giving each individual an opportunity to show their integrity, or at least be give each person a chance to be the person?
I would say the best methodology is a trial close. So what is a trial close? So a trial close is the moment where you first introduce your product or you first introduce a price. So if I'm like I had a call with somebody the other day and I said, like we were just talking, and I said to them, what you're looking to do, I could tell you right now that what you're looking to do is gonna cost somewhere in the ballpark of um, X amount to X amount. And then I just leave that there and I look at their reaction. I say, okay, so they're like, all right, so X amount to X amount. They say, yeah, okay, well, Um, then they'll say something like, well, if they're a real buyer, they'll say something like, well, I probably I didn't budget that much, but if that is the price, I understand the quality, I understand the value, and you'll know when it's a real buyer based on what they say.
Mhm.
The people that are not buyers, like when you say your price or when you introduce a price, like just a range, just a number, like they'll immediately like you'll see a physical reaction, like they'll change, they'll transform on the call.
Mhm.
Like they'll want to get off the call, they'll be like, that's just too expensive for me, or they'll just end the call. And that's how you do it. Like before you even introduce your product, you introduce a price range or something just to sort of see where that person is. And based on their reaction, you could know if that person is actually qualified, or if they have the financial ability to proceed to the close. So the trial close is the best way.
All
Trial
right.
close. Let's say I'm going to buy, let's say, a car. Salesman says, "Yeah, Junior, for what you're looking for, I could already tell you that the price of the cars you're looking for is between 40 to 80 thousand dollars." So then I might say, well, that sounds pretty interesting, man. I may be looking for something around the 60 mark. So what have I just said? I've just told the salesperson, hey man, if you could get me a car that does what I want around 60K, then I'm gonna get it. That's what I just did. So that is a trial close, and you could always do trial closes on your qualification calls.
Yeah, I like it. Moving on. Attire and positioning. Can you speak to the importance of dressing one level up from the prospect and why this is important? And also, if you could talk a little bit about the effects of dressing too high, like let's say you're 3 stages up, or dressing too low and like you're 4 stages down. But primarily, could you speak to the importance of dressing one level up above the prospect and how that assists in the power differential for closing?
Yeah, so it's a scientific fact that when you dress one level above, and I think Joel might be able to speak to this. Anybody that you're coaching or mentoring, or you have some form of leadership, somebody's under your leadership. It's a fact that if you dress one level above somebody else, they see you as an authority. The prospect needs to see you as an authority. So that's why we recommend dressing up on the call. So it is a fact, Bobby, that when you do that, it creates a great first impression. But also, I had somebody say to me the other day that I like the way that you present because it tells me that you take your customers very seriously. So when you show up to the call and you dress correctly and you dress right and you look like you just didn't roll out of bed, like you've been up for a while, you worked out, you look bright, you sound great. It tells the prospect that you value their time, you take what you do very seriously, and that you're a professional at what you do. Nobody wants to work with an amateur. Nobody wants. That's why Dr. Michelle gave the previous objection where she said, "What if you don't have any results?" So nobody wants to work with an amateur, okay? But even if you've just started at a company, if somebody could tell that you're a professional based on the way that you dress, they're more likely to take you seriously because I am a firm believer that how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you're a professional on the call, if you look like you work out, if you look like you're disciplined, it most likely means that you're disciplined in other areas of your life. So if I can count on you on the call, it means that when I buy whatever you're selling, I can count on the fact that you're most likely going to take care of me after I buy whatever you're selling. So that's the way the prospects look at it. They look at it as number one, you're respectful because you value their time enough to show up in the right way, but it also lets them know that I'm not dealing with an amateur, I'm dealing with a professional.
Yes.
Nobody wants. So the sleazy and people say slimy salespeople, those are the amateurs. Nobody wants to deal with people like that. People want to deal with people that are professionals at what they do.
Got it. Got it. Next question has to do with down months, the downturn. So, how do you maintain energy when you're not closing deals? Like you're getting a lot of people not showing up. They're booking calls, but they're not showing up, or you're not able to set appointments, or it's a dry spell, like whatever happens. But how do you personally keep your energy up, keep your focus, and keep your optimism when you just can't seem to hit? in the closing space. And sometimes that happens. People hit no closes for a month or for 2 months, and then they have a month where they just can't miss.
I would say the way that I do it is awareness. So you have to be aware. And I'll put it like this, Bobby, and I'll try to answer as fast as possible. I know you have other questions.
Yes, I'm rattling it off as quick as I can.
Okay, so everybody, well, I think most people here have been in a roller coaster. Yeah. If you're in a roller coaster, you have to be aware at all points in time where you are in that roller coaster. Everything is cyclical. Sales is cyclical. Life is cyclical. So you have to be aware when you're in the down part of the roller coaster and when you're on the up, like when you're going up. Like once you start closing deals and you know, okay, I'm in a hot space. Now's the time to press on the gas. Now's the time to sleep 4 hours a day. But you also know, hey, man, like this is like I said, every day can't be the same. So you'll have those amazing months, those amazing days, but get ready for the days where it's not as amazing. What I've found is that once you're aware that this is just a phase, you could maintain your optimism. Okay, you can maintain your optimism and just be aware like this is just a phase. I'm just in the down part of the roller coaster. But like I tell everybody, the only place to go once you're at rock bottom is up. That's the only place to go. So if you're at rock bottom, get excited because that means you're about to go back up the roller coaster.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great perspective. So, sales training is the next section. How do you conduct sales training for yourself? Do you read books? Do you go through renditions in front of the mirror? Do you record yourself and listen back? How do you train?
I train every single day and I train when I work out. I listen to audios and videos from various sales trainers that I respect and that I admire. So that's how I train. I train every single day.
Phenomenal. And if someone was new to sales and needed to get started making money fast, what would you suggest as the best skills to start with when it comes to selling, closing,
When it comes to selling or closing.
closing? I meant to say closing.
Oh man, when it comes to closing, you have to know how to listen. That's what it's about. You just have to, like 80% of the call is the prospect talking, anyways. You need
Yeah,
to know how to listen and make recommendations. That's what I would recommend.
man, let me check time. Okay. I can't answer another question or ask another question. I don't think Junior has time to
Let's
answer it.
go, Bobby. Do one more. Let's do one more.
One more. Okay. So this section is becoming a better closer. Like once you have reached a state where you're executing. So as an experienced closer, what are some competencies and tactics that fall between the cracks if you are not careful about keeping them tight and polished up?
Objection handling, number one. So objection handling, um, attitude. Attitude is the first step on the road to the sale. Objection handling, attitude, forgetting the script. Those would be the thing. But I think skills, meta skills would be discipline. Like your discipline could fall. So discipline is one. But I think that would be the biggest thing, man. Discipline.
Could you
Yeah,
give me an example of discipline, like discipline to the training process or discipline to showing up the right way?
everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
So
If you don't
just
train, you're not gonna show up the right way. If you don't train, you're not gonna show up the right way. That's it.
got it. All right, guys. If you guys enjoyed the answers and the questions, put some flames in the chat. Junior is always phenomenal. And I had a good time. I got some great answers, by the way, as well.
100%. Guys, thank you so much. Don't forget the Ultimate Brand Challenge is back. Bobby, I believe we're back tomorrow. I'll be tomorrow at 8, correct?
Yep, that's right.
All right. So
So
Bobby and I will
excited.
be back. Yes, sir. Bobby and I will be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. So don't miss it. Thank you so much. Have a phenomenal day and let's grow.